welcome back to my channel, Spiritually Fit, a place where after you've gotten that workout in and nourished yourself with some really good food, you can come on over and we'll learn some different techniques and ways that you can nourish your soul and your spirit. And today we're going to be doing that by talking about manifesting, and more specifically the first step in manifesting what you want. And you may have heard about manifesting, or maybe you've heard about The Secret, the law of attraction, but manifesting is basically bringing your thoughts into reality and your desires. So really creating the life that you want through your thoughts and energy that you bring out into the world. And you've probably also heard of the phrase ask, believe, receive. So this is really going over that first area of asking for what you want, and doing that specifically by writing down what you desire. I just think that there's something so powerful when you write it down what you want. And I learned this probably about 9 years ago. My coworker gave me a book, and it's called Write It Down, Make It Happen. And it was all about writing something down to get what you want. And I wasn't really spiritually along in my journey, so I liked it because it was really practical and not too woo-woo, and it was an easy read, and it's a short read. So I highly recommend it if you're curious about manifesting or kind of dipping your feet into a spiritual journey. And it basically says, when you're writing something down, to write down your desires and be as specific as possible. And this is, for instance, say you are wanting a mansion. You don't just say that, oh, I want a mansion in 5 years. You say exactly what it's going to look like. What does the carpet look like? What do the rooms look like? What do the sheets on the bed look like? Where is it at? Is it on the country? Is it in the city side? I mean, just as much detail as you can do, write about it, what you really, really desire. And after I read this book, I've manifested a ton of things, but two really important ones are the 2 homes that I've owned in my life. I just think they're really crazy and amazing stories. And I'm going to be really transparent about the money part. That's only because I just want you to see that buying my second home was a stretch for us financially. So just to see how crazy it is that the universe kind of worked it out in our favor. But anyway, after I read this book, maybe about 6 months later, we were house hunting for our first home. And I grew up in the Bay Area, and my husband grew up an hour away from the Bay Area. And so we decided to settle where he grew up. It was about an hour away. It was much cheaper in pricing. You can get bigger house for the cost, and his family was there. So it was just all around a good decision just to be by family as we raise our children. But I always went in with the thought that I would live there for 5 to 7 years until my kids were of school age, and that we would move back to the Bay Area. I've lived in Sacramento, San Francisco, Colorado, Santa Barbara, Elk Grove, lots of different places, but I just, in my heart, wanted to end up in the Bay Area when our kids were a little bit older. And I would even tell people that, like, oh, we're just going to live here for 5 years and move. And people would say, okay, sure, you know, but everybody tries to do that. Everybody says that they're going to go back, but nobody does because it's so expensive to live there. But I didn't care. Truly something that I wanted. And I'm a Pisces, so I'm not very decisive about a lot of things, but that was one thing that I really held close to my heart and wanted. So, kind of a long story short, we bought our first home, and I manifested almost everything in that house. I wrote down when we were house hunting what I wanted. I wanted a house that was between $250,000 and $300,000. I wanted it to be 2-story, 4 to 5 bedrooms, a 3-car garage, and a pool. So we did some house hunting for about 3 months, and at the end of it, we got the house that we wanted, and it was 5 bedrooms. It had a pool and a spa, a big backyard, a 3-car garage. It was everything that I had imagined it to be. And it was just mind-blowing. And I was so happy and grateful and just really running on this high of manifesting. And so I decided, like, okay, this is great. I'm going to live here for 5 years. We'll save $20,000 every year, and then we'll move back. Well, 5 years later passed by, and I did not save $20,000 each year because, yeah, life, kids, everything like that, it just didn't happen. And I was starting to get kind of bummed out that maybe it wouldn't really happen. So really the life-changing point for me was when my son started kindergarten at the school that we used to live at, and he got beat up by 3 kids the first week of school. That just lit a fire under my butt. That was like, we're getting out of here. And it's not to say that it's a bad area or a bad school. It can happen anywhere, but it just triggered in me the desire to just want to move and at least try, because I would regret looking back if I didn't try to move to a place that I so badly and wanting and desired to live. So after that moment, I hunkered down and I was like, okay, started looking at houses in the Bay Area and how much they cost in the city that we wanted to live in. Well, they were between like $750,000 and well over $1 million. Just crazy. So I figured it out. Okay, so we pay a $1,500 mortgage now, and if we bought one of those homes, probably the cheapest it would be about $4,000 a month. So I was like, okay. So I started writing down in my book what I wanted, and I said, I want a house between $750,000 and $825,000. That was a house that I felt that we could somehow make it work. And I didn't care about the size. I just wanted it to be like a light, airy, cute home. So after writing that all down, the magic started happening. So the first thing that happened was my husband needed to find a new job, because if we moved, he would have had like a 2.5-hour commute each way to work. It's just not going to happen. So he knew an old coworker that worked at a firm that he used to work at, who moved to a firm in the Bay Area, actually the city that we wanted to move to. So he called her up, and long story short, she told him that her firm was hiring, and he interviewed and got the job. And the job, well, the kicker was, the job was a great pay increase that pretty much covered, you know, the increase that we were going to have to pay for the mortgage, the new mortgage. So that was huge, like such an amazing thing that happened. And then it came time to, okay, let's do this. So we sold our house and started looking for houses there. Well, 2 years ago, it's still this way, but the Bay Area is in a huge housing boom. There are about, at the time, maybe 5 to 10 offers on every house, and people were paying cash up front from foreign investors. I mean, it was really intense. And you even had to write a cover sheet with a picture of you or your family and an essay of why you wanted to live in that house. It was crazy, like seriously crazy, you guys. So we started looking, and then the other problem was the inventory was just crappy, and for a house that we could afford, there was probably like 3 houses, where if you wanted to spend well over $1 million, there was a lot more to choose from. But for us, it wasn't that way. So we looked at those 3 houses, and I fell in love with one of them. So we did all the work and wrote our little essay and turned it in. And put in an offer that we knew that we could make it work and not stretch ourselves just to win that offer. So we put our offer in, and then the bidding time closed, and my realtor called me. And so I was just expecting, like, okay, you know, they got this and this and this bid, like, what's the highest and best that you could go? Well, she called me and she said, I don't know how this happened, but you guys were the only ones that placed an offer on the house. The house is yours. Seriously, it was crazy. Like, I just look at it from the time that we started looking, which was like July, or the time that I decided that I wanted to do this, and then the time that we actually got the house, which was September. Just, it proved to me that there was something bigger than me that was helping and conspiring to make my dreams come true. Like, I truly believe that within my soul, that the universe has my back and helped me to get these homes. And a couple other crazy things about it is that I asked for it to be on a court with lots of kids, and the house was on a court, and there's 20 kids on our court for the kids to play with. I also asked for it to be close to school, and it ended up being 2 blocks away from my kids' school. Finally, the money that we sold from our first house, the money that we made off that, was just enough money for the down payment on this house to the dollar. It was crazy how that part worked out. I mean, we had not a cent extra, but it was exactly enough to buy the house in my dream house, in my dream city. And I'm just like thankful every single day when I'm driving down on the freeway and I get off on my exit. I can't even express to you the gratitude and how much, like, I really feel like I was meant to be here. And I feel with conviction that the universe helped me to make it happen. Now, if you're having trouble kind of deciding what it is you want, again, if you're indecisive like me, sometimes you may not know what it is you want. And my recommendation for that is look at what you don't want and kind of go from there. So say you don't like your job. Be like, okay, well, what don't I want? Do I want a 9-to-5 Monday through Friday job? No. Okay, cross that off. Then you help narrow, like, I want a job that's 3 days a week. Okay. Then you think, you know, do I want to be a yoga teacher? And you're like, no. Or if you don't know, go take a yoga class. That's another thing you can do. Go try out something, and you either love it, gets you a little closer to where you want, or you don't love it and you cross it off, and that gets you a little bit closer to what you want. So that's kind of how to get through that little hurdle of figuring it out. It is figuring out what you want. I really live for this stuff, and I want you guys to try it out. Write down exactly what you want and let me know how it happens. Or if you have any crazy stories of how you've manifested something, I live for this stuff, so you have to let me know. My Instagram account is Spiritually Fit, so you can DM me or just comment below on how this has worked out for you. Next time, I will be talking about manifesting kind of more like the how and the why and the next couple steps. So enjoy, work on this one for now, and then when we come back, we'll go a little bit deeper into it next time. So thank you guys so much again for joining me and sitting with me and hanging out, and I hope to see you guys next time. Love and light as always. Bye.